We're live. Hey guys.
Oh.
Hello.
Hello.
Cheers.
Cheers. Trying to do this without spilling. It's honestly hard.
Welcome to Book Witches with a B, episode 7.
Is it 7?
I think it's 7.
7 of the series. We've done more than 7 episodes.
Yes, and we're going to be talking about A Court of Mist and Fury, chapters 31 through 35.
Mm-hmm.
Last episode was a little shorter because not a whole lot happened.
Buckle up.
A lot happens.
This is actually, I think, my favorite chunk of this book.
It's so good.
So I'm really excited about it.
It's so good.
Mm-hmm.
So we are going to let Urja have her little chapter recap moment, which I will be recording later because if you haven't noticed, we are at a location in St. Louis, the lovely Steampunk Brew Works.
Steampunk? Steampunk? I don't know if you can see it on the... I feel like you can't see it on the glass here, but
Yeah.
It's here.
If you like beer and you're a fan of like craft beer, Steampunk is maybe one of the oldest breweries in St. Louis, located in Town and Country. And it's history of Steampunk. They were a homebrew store first before they turned into a brewery. My husband Joel used to work here, which is why the lovely owners and managers are letting us record here.
Very kind. We
Very
appreciate
kind.
it.
And yeah, come check them out if you like good craft beer and you like cool people.
Or if you just want to come hang out, also do
Yeah.
that.
If you want to come hang out and catch us in the wild, there's a possibility.
But be chill about it.
But be chill. Not that we have fans, but it's okay.
But we're going to eventually.
We will.
And then we might... It'll be fine. We'll bring in business.
We'll bring him. All right, take it away, future Urja, with the chapter recap. Doo-doo. Hey everyone, welcome to chapter recap. So if you remember last time we left off with the Bat Boys and Feyre leaving the mortal lands after having written a letter to the 6 mortal queens, and they are concentrated on finding the Book of Breathings. They're still waiting to hear back from the Summer Court, and all of this is going on. So they get back. Feyre has told Tamlin that she officially is not coming back, and so they're kind of in limbo. Chapter 31 starts. Feyre has been training with Cassian for the past 4 days on her like fighting and strength and all of that, and she's also been training with Rhysand and having more success with Cassian than with Rhysand. She hasn't been able to winnow again since she did in the previous section of chapters that we read, and so they're just fighting and training. Azriel's been having trouble reaching the mortal queens. They haven't heard back from them, and Tamlin has closed down his spring borders so tightly that they can't even fly over. So there's a lot of, we don't really know what's happening, and they're in limbo. Rhysand comes in to the training where Amren has been watching and having some really fun interactions with Cassian, which we'll talk about later. And then Moore shows up, and Cassian's like, "What are you guys doing here?" And then Rhysand strolls in and is like, "Well, we heard back from the Summer Court. We've been invited to visit." So they are deciding who's gonna go. So it ends up being that we find out that Cassian's been banned from the Summer Court because he destroyed a building. So don't know what that means, but that's real fun. And then Moore is left behind to protect Valaris. Azriel is still gone, trying to figure out what's going on with the mortal queens. And so it's decided that Amren, Feyre, and Rhysand will go to the Summer Court. They do have this moment where they talk about the repercussions of introducing Feyre as part of the Night Court, because everyone knows, it's public knowledge, that she was Tamlin's bride, part of the Spring Court, and they're all kind of like on edge about what's going to happen when they go. During this time, we also find out that the inner circle went to Rita's and dragged Feyre along with them, and there's a lot of fun things that we talk about in the deep dive discussion, so I don't want to spoil them, but there's a lot of fun interactions, and we kind of see like life in Valaris a little bit. We also get a lot more interaction between Feyre and Rhysand, and she has this moment where she notes to herself like, it's fun, it's a distraction, but maybe she deserves to have a little bit of fun to flirt with Rhysand. So chapter 32, they head to Adriata, the castle city of the Summer Court. The High Lord of the Summer Court, Tarquin, is described as having rich brown skin, white hair, and eyes of crushing turquoise blue. He is a very young High Lord. He's only 80, so he's like kind of untried, untested, became High Lord during Amarantha's reign, in fact, and so they're unsure how he's going to feel about everything, because if you'll remember, Rhysand was playing a very specific role when he was under the mountain, and so this is all kind of very like tread slow, like carefully walking on eggshells. We also meet Cressida, who I have some opinions about, and we also meet Varian, who is Cressida's younger brother and the Prince of Adriata. Rhys tells them of the imminent war with the King of Hybern, and Tarquin notes that he's worried that Tamlin might go to war and try to get Feyre back, because it is well within his rights and the law to go to war, because Feyre has essentially been a bride that's been stolen. Feyre has a moment where she's like, I belong to no one, so it's not going to happen. Cressida notes that the law states that Tamlin's bride, if he wanted to ask Tarquin to return her to him, then Tarquin would have to do so, and Rhys says that if anyone sends word to Tamlin, their life will be forfeit. Chapter 33. Rhysand asks Feyre to try and steal the book without being caught, because he likes Tarquin and the Summer Court. He tells her to do anything he needs to get the book, and she asks what he would do if she slept with Tarquin to get it. Rhysand once again says, you can do what you like. We all know that would kill him, but it's okay. Feyre tries to use her fire powers to light a candle, but instead of lighting the candle, she douses it with water. And it's like being close to Tarquin seems to make her water powers easier to access. She has this moment when she first sees Tarquin where she's like, a part of me is like, I remember you from under the mountain, but I also remember you from this little piece of power that's within me as well. Feyre asks Rhysand if Tamlin would really go to war for her, and he says he doesn't know. Feyre says she would go back to him if it came to that, but she doesn't want to. And Rhysand tells Feyre that Tamlin knew how valuable she was and wanted to keep her locked up and, keep her locked up and all to himself. And Feyre says that Tamlin did love her, but sometimes love can be a prison, or a poison even. Tarquin's cousin Nostress was High Lord before Tarquin, but he rebelled, so he and his family were killed by Amarantha, making Tarquin the High Lord of the Summer Court. They also managed to hide their treasures from Amarantha, and so Feyre asks, she thinks this is going to be a good place to look for the Book of Breathings, so she asks to see the troves, and Tarquin agrees. Tarquin asks Feyre about the mortal world, and she says that class lines aren't as blurred there as they are here in the Fey world. You're either rich or you're poor. Tarquin says that some Fae, namely, lesser Fae, don't feel that the lines are blurred here. They have little to no opportunity. Even the name itself implies a lack of power, a really bad power structure for them. And some of them believe that they should get rid of High Fae altogether. He explains that even the lowest of High Fae's servants have more rights than the wealthiest of lesser Fae. Tarquin agrees and would like to see more equality among the Fae, and Feyre tells Tarquin that he would be easy to fall in love with and even easier to call a friend. And she's not lying. I mean, I'm not lying either. Tarquin's amazing. I love him. Besides the point, Feyre spots Rhysand flirting with Cressida, and she realizes that she's jealous. She also suddenly realizes that she feels unhappy, but at least that this is an emotion and it's not nothingness, because she hasn't felt anything for so long. She realizes, I might be unhappy, but this is, I'm feeling something though. Rhys and Cressida disappear off together that night, and Feyre is not happy about it. Chapter 34. Tarquin takes Feyre to a hall of jewels where some of their treasures are kept. Feyre makes note of a beautiful necklace of rubies and one made from black diamonds, and Tarquin gives her the one made from black diamonds as a gift for what she did for him under the mountain. Tarquin tells her that he could be an ally to the north, and he says that she has sway over Rhys in a way that no one ever has before. She could be his emissary to the Night Court, in addition to being Rhys's emissary to the human realm. Tarquin tells her that his cousin Brutius was gathering forces in their cities to storm under the mountain, but he was caught trying to escape. he was the summer court fae caught by Amarantha under the mountain that Rhys killed. Tarquin says that he knows that Rhys saw what Brutius was really doing, but he lied to Amarantha about it, and Tarquin says that he believes Rhys was Amarantha's plaything to save the rest of them from her attention. He notes that he is new and inexperienced and is not sure how to act as a High Lord. He's only 80, one of the youngest High Lords to ever be. Tarquin asks if it's true that Feyre left Tamlin because he locked her in his house, and she says yes. He asks if it's true that the Night Court saved her from her confinement, and she says yes. Tarquin then says he will not tell the Spring Court that she is there. Feyre is given tours of all of the Summer Court troves, but does not find the book. She comes back to find Rhys lounging on her bed. Feyre tells him that Tarquin is a good man and he should just ask for the book. Feyre then gets mad at Rhys for sleeping with Cressida, but he says he didn't even kiss her. Feyre says, trying to figure out there's this weird tension between them, and she's like, it gets under your skin that I shut you out, but I'm letting Tarquin in. And Rhys is like, no, it gets under my skin that you smile at him. And Feyre realizes that Rhys is jealous. Rhys says that he heard her tell Tarquin that he'd be easy to fall in love with, and he knows that she meant it. He says he is jealous of that because he's not the sort of person that anyone would fall in love with easily. And it's really sad because I love him, but it's fine. Chapter 35. 2 days have passed, still no sign of the book, and then while Feyre is wandering around the streets of Adriata, she spots a building that's only revealed when the tide is out, and believes that it could be the book. It could be the book's hiding place. Feyre mentions the building at dinner and can tell by the way that Cressida and Tarquin react that she's right and that the book is there, but they say it's just a temple ruin. Feyre uses her powers to get into Tarquin's mind and cool his worries about why she's asking. Rhys and Amren come to her room that night. Rhys knows that Feyre used her powers to get into Tarquin's mind, and he tells her it's impressive as it takes some Daemati years to master that. And then they plan to try to get into the temple that night. And that's where we leave you off. Not as big as of a cliffhanger as some episodes, but a pretty big cliffhanger, I think. Hope you enjoy the rest of the episode. Bye, everyone. Do you want to talk about, so I guess this is post-chapter recap. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome to Steampunk again.
Hello. How did you feel?
Did you like the chapter recap, or?
You should.
I hope so.
I'm sure you did.
I hope so, because the reason that it was separate is because I want to make sure that I have diligent notes, and life's been crazy, as I'm sure you could tell by her recent postings on TikTok or Instagram if you follow us.
Please do.
Please do.
We've also had recent books that we've been anticipating coming out.
Yes.
She hasn't started, I finished.
Yes, Onyx Storm.
This is the plight of friends who read books.
Yes. Too much happening.
No, I'm aware you have too much happening. Yeah, I had a lot going on at work.
Too much emotionally for me. I'm rereading Iron Flame still.
See, I just skipped that. It's fine.
I'm not looking forward to it. I'm not ready. I read
right.
the one excerpt between Xaden and Jack Barlow, and it makes me really mad, and I don't want to feel that.
I need you to read it.
I have told you, March. We're looking at a March timeline for me. I'll see once I finish Iron Flame. I do like to reread. Like I did it with Harry Potter and I did it with Twilight. I like to reread the series in preparation for a new book.
Oh, I am reading Harry Potter right now.
So, oh my god, what book are you on?
I am on Prythian, actually.
That's my favorite book.
I like the trio in Prisoner of Azkaban the best. I like the storyline of Goblet of Fire.
That's fair.
Best, but I am of the opinion that Ron is the best character in the first 3 books, and then he goes horrible.
He does go
in
horrible.
the rest of the series, and I get so mad because he's my favorite in the first 3.
He's my favorite. I love him. I am a huge Ron fan. He's my favorite character, period. I was very annoyed with him in
all of it.
Goblet of Fire was really annoying because I was like, Ron, I mean, come on, how can you be that insecure?
Yeah.
He's your best friend. You know him.
Yeah.
And then, in the 5th one, I was too annoyed with Harry to be annoyed at Ron.
Yeah, that's fair.
And also the 6th one, too annoyed at Harry to be annoyed at Ron.
I got annoyed with both of them, honestly. My favorite...
Harry turns into such an annoying little punk.
He does. My favorite of all, well, I love Sirius deeply. Sirius and Remus. I'm a big Marauders person. If you were someone on the internet fanfiction girlies, you get it.
I don't read fanfiction, and they're still my favorite characters.
You should read. I
can't do it. I can't do it. It's fine.
There is one that is my absolute favorite that I have been begging you for over a year to read.
I know. I have a hard time reading I don't really like spin-off novels for the same reason. Like, this is the character in my mind, and I don't want anything to change.
The only person that changes is Hermione, but not really. Everyone else stays the same because they go young, so it's like them as kids.
I mean, yes, okay, that's fair.
Except for the first couple chapters.
I don't know. I know that this is an unpopular opinion, but I think everyone else is wrong and I'm right. I love Ron and Hermione.
I don't disagree with you.
They're so, like, I know everyone ships her with other people, but for me, Ron and Hermione were like... Because Ron is not an idiot, okay? I understand the movies really took his character...
The movies made him awful.
And destroyed him.
This is not Rupert Grint's fault. Rupert Grint, if you see this,
no,
I love you.
No, it's not your fault. You're amazing.
Rupert Grint, I love you.
Rupert Grint, you're... Oh, God, I love you.
I love that man deeply.
So much.
He's on my favorite... I love gingers. This is not new. If you know this podcast, he's one of my favorites.
But his character was really dumbed down for the movies and kind of just like comic relief a little bit. But in the books, he consistently remains intelligent, and he is comic relief in the books. But like he consistently beats Harry at chess. Consistently.
Well, he also has his family.
He has his family. He also comes up with a lot of the solutions that they then later in the movies attribute to Hermione and Harry. But it's like in the books, Ron came up with that idea on how to save them from whatever. So I think he's been mistreated, and I think all of you are wrong. I'm just gonna say it. Ron and Hermione forever. That's the end of this conversation. Shall we get back to our regularly scheduled content?
Sure.
Sorry guys, I'm off today and I'm really feeling like feisty.
Oh, you are? Do you mean like off work or just off in general?
Both.
That's fair. I did work this morning. But I just think we're having fun. This is, if you're curious what it's like to be friends with us, that is very good. This is what everyone else who was with us gets to deal with.
Yeah. Yeah, we're a lot. It's like we have the same group of friends. Like we have it's actually our steampunk group of friends, fun fact.
Hence why we're here.
But like whenever we hang out, I feel like the rest of them are just like, okay, we'll leave them to it and like walk away from us.
I mean, none of them outside of your husband have jumped out of a car yet, but...
That's true, just my husband.
Joel, I'm not letting you live that down. I want you to know.
Joel jumping out of a moving car to get away from us because we're crazy.
I think it was less crazy and more of like, we truly only talk about books.
Yeah.
So, not only, but it's either our personal life or books.
Yeah.
That's it.
Also, if you are a colleague of mine now that we now work together and we have at my new job for months, and you told me that you were listening to my podcast, hi, thanks for joining. This is my friend Colleen.
Hi, hello.
We read a lot of books and
we do.
If you are also just in general a new viewer, welcome. Let's get to section superlatives, shall we? Yeah. Okay, drama queen in this section. I'm just gonna go ahead and say Rhys.
This is where we start seeing like jealous Rhys.
Yes,
which I love.
It's so funny.
It's I know some people don't like that. I love a jealous man in books,
especially because he's not really actually doing anything about it. He's just
brooding over it. He's just like upset about it.
Yeah,
he just gets a little grumpy.
He does,
which I love. I like a little like because he's not necessarily possessive. He understands why she's doing it, but at the same time, I am double checking where he's like, you never smiled at me.
Yeah, and you're smiling at Tarquin all the time.
That really hurt my soul.
I know.
I really remember like crying a little bit at that part.
Yeah.
I was pretty certain that was in this first chunk, but I want to make sure. So, yeah, that is one of my favorite lines in the book.
It's great,
actually.
This is also where we get the infamous to the stars that listen clink line. I don't remember the full quote.
The full quote, yes,
but it's the one that's on all the stickers and the tattoos and
it's the dreamers. Which I do love the concept of them calling themselves dreamers. I do have some stuff that I didn't cover last podcast that I do have to think about Rhys and the way that he handles problems. But that might be what I do with my section. But we can get there. But yes, drama queen 100% Rhys. A little bit Feyre.
I mean, yes.
Her it's kind of Feyre because they're the same. Because they both are upset at the other person for hitting on other people.
Yes. Agreed.
And they're supposed to.
It's their fault. Yeah.
Especially her, like, dramatically standing on the edge of this, like, cruise liner boat. That's definitely in this section, right?
It is in this section.
She's just, like...
standing looking out at the sea.
She's on this gorgeous yacht in essentially Greece. We talked about that. It's essentially Greece. Gorgeous cruise line with Tarquin, who is...
Yes.
Gorgeous.
I know.
And wonderful. I get that it's not Rhys.
And she's like, I need some air, even though we're on a yacht in the middle of the ocean.
An open air yacht.
Yeah.
Like, it's like an open boat.
And she just, like, goes and stands there and broods because Rhys is flirting with Cressida, who, like, but he's supposed to.
That's the point.
Okay, so I agree. I think they're both. I think they take the crown, both of them.
Both of them are equally dramatic.
Yes.
In most things, to be honest.
Forever. Yeah.
But yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Craziest thing to happen.
Oh gosh. I think.
So we go from Feyre is in Valaris and they're fighting and training and whatever. Then they go to Adriata.
Yes. So they were just pretty for the rebuilding.
And she finds... Oh, I have a couple of things for craziest thing to happen.
I was like, I thought one, but...
So this isn't maybe crazy, but I think it deserves an honorable mention. She starts using her water power.
Obviously, the water power or her going into Tarquin's mind, both
that
for
was
me.
The other one, going into Tarquin's mind.
Which
and
is using those
disguising herself as Tarquin to get past his mental shield.
Also scary.
Terrifying.
From her standpoint, because that is a very much the concept of like mind reading and invasion of privacy in my brain is actually quite scary to me.
Oh sure.
I have a lot of inside thoughts that don't come out, shockingly, that don't come out of my brain. So I filter a little bit, even though it doesn't seem like it.
I don't think I filter at all.
I have to sometimes. Not in like a bad way, just like sometimes I think things that I'm like, that doesn't need to be said aloud.
Maybe, yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think craziest thing to happen was like Feyre. I mean, we go from her not even being able to really harness her powers, she's not sure how, to like becoming Tarquin to get through his shields and like sway him into confirming her suspicions about where the book is hidden. Crazy.
That's very like, she's a better spy than I think people give her credit for. And like, I don't know, like this is one of her like, this is where her social skills kick in. Like a lot of, there's a whole like book smart versus street smart thing, which she's also book smart. She just doesn't know how to read. You can still be book smart without,
I agree,
having the ability to read, which she can now.
I think it's like book smart being like she's very logical and she knows enough to like whatever. And then like on top of that, she has the street smarts where she can.
She's very socially adept.
She is.
Which I do think in her family she had to be.
Yeah.
Something I will also mention that I don't know if we have. I do think she was illiterate, but I think she was functionally illiterate.
Yeah.
Like she could read somewhat.
She could.
Like she was like, I know how to do those. I think because there is a difference. Like she knew how, which I think is why she was able to catch up so fast.
Yes.
She wasn't starting with the ABCs.
No.
She just needed like a little, because like once you kind of start, you just kind of roll.
Yeah.
She just wasn't at that
I think
like
she
roll
needed
part
the encouragement and like a safe space
to be able to just get there.
Yeah.
Like I think she could. She just didn't feel quite comfortable or like just wasn't 100% certain where a lot of things meant. It was more like a lack of vocabulary than it more was a lack of reading ability.
I agree.
So I think once she got there, I think she was fine.
Yeah.
There's
also
an important
that
distinction.
Nick Miller quote where he's like, I don't think I actually know how to read. I think I just memorized a bunch of stuff. And I'm like, when you put that into perspective, isn't that just everything all of us are doing?
It is, but I mean that is a form of like functional literacy, essentially.
That's
literacy.
true.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess learning the rules of like when you're looking at a new word, how to pronounce it, or like
or contextualize
what the
it.
what the word is, like especially like crazy words like rhythm. And
like words that aren't like you can't really phonetically.
Facetious is like, what is that word?
They also changed how you may not know this. They changed how they taught people how to read.
I do not know this.
Okay, so this might be a bit of a tangent, but I think it's important in terms of the literacy concept of this. So like we learned phonetics.
Yes.
We learned to read by phonetics. So my siblings are about 9 and 10 years younger than me. So they started doing, which I don't know if they do anymore, sight words. So they literally didn't have them do phonetic because a lot of people were like, well, it doesn't work with the English language, which they're not wrong.
They're not
Most phonetics don't work. So so the kind of like, I memorized things.
Yeah.
That's actually what they had them do. So instead of like spelling tests, they had these words that they had to memorize and had to know on sight.
Interesting.
I don't know if they were
wild.
still. I don't know if it's part of. Was that part of Common Core? I think it might have been. I don't remember.
I have thoughts on Common Core, but
they are now in college, so like I mean, this was functionally a while ago for them. We're old. It's fine. But so yeah, one's going into college and the other one is currently in college. So I mean, they know how to read.
I mean,
by
yes.
But yeah, I remember thinking that was odd that they were talking about like sight words. It was a big thing for them of like doing that, and for us it was, which I never learned spelling rules. I'm horrible at spelling, but I did like phonetically. But the English language is counterintuitive.
I think maybe to no one's surprise, I always aced spelling tests. I was so good at that.
I was.
Okay, so back to what we were talking about.
We were talking about sight reading. I actually don't remember what I was doing in the middle of that, but it's okay.
Reading, y'all. It's a thing.
Yeah, and basically, I just want to talk about, because I've been wanting to do a section on literacy, and I will at some point. I haven't fully got there, because I think it's interesting, the concept of literacy, but it's a little tidbit.
Shall we go to Colleen's Corner?
I mean, that could have been my corner, but we could definitely go to my corner, because I went on a tangent.
More, Colleen.
No, I'm ready.
More Colleen's Corner. More Colleen.
Colleen's Corner.
So that's fine. Okay.
Really?
You can't tell. I have a whole podcast where I talk the whole time. Okay, anyhow, Colleen's Corner. Okay, so I actually do have something for this.
Oh,
that I wanted to talk about last time, but I did the Tamlin comparison.
Yeah.
We're good. Alright, so I did the Tamlin comparison, but what I actually would like to talk about is Rhys's sheer lack of wanting to address any problem with any of his friends.
Anything at all ever. Nothing.
So she's just like, yeah, like, why did Amon drink blood? Seems rude. Seems rude to ask.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's going on over there? He's like, I don't know, let them figure it out. Some of it I do think is truly a literary device by Sarah, so she doesn't have to reveal things up front. But from like a character perspective, to me it's really funny because it's truly Rhys being like,
yeah.
like it is his, like the whole like concept of like not my monkey's not my circus, but it is his. He's just actively choosing to pretend, like, literally every problem that's not, like, how to save the realm.
Right.
So his
He does not care.
His social skills are on the floor, actually. And I don't think he actually knows a single thing about any of his friends.
I also think that when you're saying his social skills are on the floor, like, literally everyone else around him has social skills.
Including Asriel, who supposedly doesn't have them.
And Amren.
Well, so, like, Rhys is very good at his masks, so that's what he's learned to do. But, like, he doesn't really wear those as much around his inner circle friend situation.
I'm just checking the time.
Yeah, so inner circle friend situation. And I'm like, dude, you know nothing about your actual friends.
Yeah.
Like, why are you, I don't know, it, like, kind of bugs me a little bit because it's also a very dude response, and it's probably because I've dated men like that before, where you ask them, they're like, they came back, they're like, oh yeah, that blah, blah, blah broke up, and you're like, oh, what happened? He goes, I don't know. I didn't ask. And you're like, why didn't you ask?
Right.
He's like, I didn't think it was important, and I'm like,
it's important when you're immortal, and these are your inner circle, and politics are involved.
Like, very clearly, there's so much, like, his, like, chain of command, like, they ran his territory while he was under the mountain, and he's just like, this isn't even important.
Yeah, it's like that, like, high school incestuous type of feeling,
and it's so important to Feyre. It's so important to Feyre.
It would be important to me too.
It would also be important to me. There is like literally, it's in the next book, and when we get there, I will talk about it. But there's this like apparently very glaring thing that no one has noticed for like a couple hundred years that Feyre figures out within 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Literally within
immediately.
And everyone else is like, oh yeah, and you're like, I think I'm assuming it's the human versus Fae thing, and maybe that's part of it, where like she grew up human, because it does seem like a lot of the Fae is like not my business.
Yeah,
they're very not my business culture.
They are,
which is how they keep getting taken over.
Yeah,
because it should be your business.
It should be.
Because social things, that's how Amarantha took over. Truly,
it is.
She socially manipulated them because they weren't looking for the social things.
No, that's so correct. I mean, that's why Rhys, most powerful High Lord in history, super cunning, super secretive, has hidden Valaris from everyone.
Yeah,
he still got tricked into that whole thing. So,
because his social skills were on the floor. Yeah. The only one that has relative social skills that I think might just be in denial for certain things is Lucian.
Yeah.
Like, because he had to. That court emissary thing, which I think Az does too, but he just chooses not to. Again, he's kind of in that realm. But, anywho, that's mostly, I just don't, it's more just like a short little, like, quippy thing, but, like,
Going
it comes
off
up a
of
lot.
that, of the social skills, there's this scene in chapter 31, I think it is, where we find out that Feyre goes to Rita's. We're finally introduced to Rita's. She gets to party at Rita's.
Come on.
And her and Az play this game trying to guess which of the Fae in Rita's are going to go up and ask Rhys out or to come home with them. And Az is right every single time.
And Feyre's
always wrong.
Always wrong.
But she's like so intrigued by it.
Oh, I would be too.
Yeah. Also, Rhys says no to every single person that asks him out, and Feyre has noticed in a big way. We still don't know, but it's clear that they like each other.
Well, they're flirting through this whole thing. I mean, literally in this section, she's mad that he's hitting on another person.
Yes.
Like, legitimately, like, they're not really a thing, but there's very clearly, she literally, the moment that she saw this man, was like, that's the hottest man I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
That was her first thought.
It was her first thought, which I commented on in season 1 immediately, because I was like, I remember, again, the first time I read this series, I was like really super not into Tamlin. And I know that a lot of people were, and he was written to be very likable. I just didn't like him because I'm me.
Well, so my thing was, I think I pictured him like Rhys, like looking like Rhys.
No.
So, but he doesn't.
Wrong. No.
But if you're the love interest in a book, you look like Rhys.
I mean, yes.
Like Rhys or someone in that vein.
Yes,
you're not blonde. I don't care how much you explain to me you're blonde. You're not.
Except for Liam in Twirling. Anyways, however, as soon as Calamai happens and she's like the most beautiful man I've ever seen, I was like, who is this man? Tell me more.
I knew where this was going.
I did not.
When I read it the first time. Yeah. I knew we were gonna get there. Same thing like when I watched Vampire Diaries. I knew the whole Damon thing was happening.
I did not know. So, I didn't know, but I also Vampire Diaries, I was like, it's obviously gonna be Damon. Damon's obviously the best.
The way they cast that show, kind of.
I love you, Paul Wesley. I love you.
Paul Wesley?
Actually, you're a very attractive man.
You are. They made you look weird in that show. Stefan is less attractive. You as a person?
Yes.
Love you.
Paul Wesley as a person is so attractive.
He is. I agree. Yeah. Paul Wesley? Hit me up.
Yeah.
She's married.
I'm married. Don't hit me up, but please hit her up. Please.
Hit up our Joy podcast.
Yeah.
Not to be weird.
Yeah.
But like also, shoot a shot, you never know.
Yeah, exactly. Go for it.
Our DMs are open. Anywho.
I think that we can wrap up Colleen's Corner has derailed too. As it does.
I have decided in general this is going to be a lighthearted section unless there's something in particular that I was like, with the literacy thing I want to do, or like when we were covering assault, I wanted to talk about that.
Yes,
but
very important.
Trying to bring some levity because these books get real heavy real fast. This section's a little lighter.
This section is good.
Yeah.
Let's go to deep dive.
Time for a deep dive.
Deep dive.
The first thing I want to talk about in deep dive, Amren and
oh, what is his name? Not Varian.
Oh my God, Varian. I gotta look it up. Why? It's Varian.
Varian.
Okay. Amren and Varian.
I like it. I do. I'm so curious about
everything
and like all of it. Yeah, like
the whole thing.
Just
it's like what I picture. So like, we don't know that they've like gotten together or anything at this point.
But, like,
it's very clear though. Like, there's this one part where like, oh, when Feyre's like on the yacht and she's going off to like be on her lonesome or whatever, she like passes by Varian and Amren, and they're like standing on like. They're like leaning on like pillars across from each other, not looking at each other, not talking to each other, not talking to anyone else. And there's like a tension there that you can like cut with a knife.
We've all been in situations where you can feel it.
Yeah.
Like you're like, what is?
Yes. Like, what is happening there?
And it's like a little unexpected. You're like, what?
Yes.
What did you do?
Extremely unexpected. I don't think that I can even tell you what Varian looks like.
I've seen some fan art.
I have not.
It's great.
Is he hot?
Of
course he is.
He's like a more lithe Tarquin. Like Tarquin's always like buff, but he's more like not Timothy Chalamet-esque, like more built than him, but with that kind of like tall, lean build.
Love it.
It's that with some honestly great hair. Usually from what I've seen. Honestly, everyone in the summer court is really
everyone
pretty.
in the summer court is really pretty, so
The summer court I think might be one of the prettier courts.
it definitely is.
They're
okay, again,
gorgeous.
I don't know if we like actually talked about this, but Adriata is the main city in the summer court. That is Greece.
It is Greece. I do think she describes the characters as like Black people of color.
She does.
So, but I think it's supposed to be like Greece, but I do think
I think that
at least like definitely on the darker.
they're very
skin
very
spectrum.
much so. I think that it's like Greece culture
Yes, Greek culture with
like people of color.
yes, darker people.
I would say that Greek people are people of color.
No, they
depending
are.
on
How Greek they are. Yes, because
Yes.
I have a friend who I knew in college who was very much a person of color, but she was Greek, and she was always very confused on forms. She's like, I don't really fit any of these, but she's like, I also am not really white. I
Yeah.
remember her being really confused what to put.
Hey, forms mostly still only have Asian. I am Asian. India's in Asia, but like
It's not the same as what they're categorizing
even
it
like
as.
sometimes.
I mean, they also
Sometimes
love-
forms will have Middle Eastern now too, and I'm like, well, I'm neither of those though.
That is correct.
What am I supposed to do?
Yeah, I do find it interesting because it just says Asian / Pacific Islander.
Yeah.
Very different cultures.
I'm Indian also.
Also
Yeah.
Indian, yeah, that too.
I would be more similar culturally to Middle Eastern.
Middle Eastern,
But I'm
yeah.
not Middle Eastern.
Sure,
So,
I'm white, so that's always on form.
Yeah.
I don't have a
It
problem
is.
with that.
Yep.
Taking that white
So
box.
Amryn and Varian.
Yes.
It's like a cat and a dog.
Yes, but like,
But like it's like a cat and
I
like
think
an
it's-
Australian
I
Shepherd.
was gonna say like I think it's just two cats. I think they're both very
I
cat-like.
don't know if he's a cat. He's like an aloof dog. Australian Shepherd's not the right kind. Maybe like
No.
a German Shepherd.
Maybe.
One who's like it's a dog, but it's not a golden retriever. You know?
No, I mean
Like,
he's definitely
He's
not as
very
friendly.
much like an aloof sort of. And then Amryn is, I mean, she's a dragon / cat. We know
she is a
this.
cat. Yes, yeah.
Yeah. I love it so much.
No, I love them. I think it's interesting for Amryn because, like, I'm assuming we know she's probably had like paramour type people throughout.
She does feel
Her
very
time, but-
non-sexual to me.
In general, except for the section, which I think is why I remember the first time I was like, I was honestly so focused on the relationship, I kind of missed the rest of it.
I was so ready for it.
Because I was like, oh, like I love that for both of them.
Mhm.
I think it's fun.
Let's also talk about
How Cassian's not let back into it because he blew up the tower, and we have no context as to why he did that.
it's just like Cassian's like, I should really come with you to the summer court, and Rhys is like, you've been banned for life, and he's like, I just destroyed one building. Excuse me?
We never hear more. Like, there are more books.
We never hear
We
more.
never know why. And if honestly, there's always like, what's the one thing that you want to know from Sarah J. Maas? This never comes up,
Yes.
but this is the thing that I want
This
to know.
is the thing. Tell
Out of-
me what happened.
Out of all of the books, well, maybe not, but like especially out of this series,
Mhm.
I want to know.
Yeah.
Because like what
So
I know
bad.
of the Summer Court, it has to be really funny.
It has to be funny.
'Cause
Like
I heard-
Cassian has to have gone there and gotten like so drunk that he destroyed a building by accident.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. He's like, I destroyed one building.
Yeah, and
Like,
it
I
was
feel
like,
because so Tarquin, he's really young. I don't know if we've gotten to that. So
We
Tarquin is
haven't.
very young. I think it was
He's-
either his uncle or cousin or something.
something that was the High Lord and was killed by Amarantha.
Yes, and so I don't think he was really expecting to take over
No.
ever. I think it was him and Tarquin absolutely partying, and something happened and he got banned. So I do feel like he's kind of like Tarquin will let me in. It's fine.
I think so too.
I think that's the vibe. But
or
Rhys is-
Varian maybe.
Yeah, they were about the same age. But yeah, so
Mhm.
Tarquin's like 80 to give some context, and like Rhys is what 500.
Over 500.
Over 500 years old, so he really is, and like Tarquin is aware he's young and a young High Lord and is trying to navigate that in
Yeah.
this section and
I
very
love Tarquin so much.
in terms of like the High Lords that we meet. I
He's
think
my favorite.
he is my favorite,
Personality wise.
personality wise, yes, and
Yeah.
how he approaches like that whole like dreamers thing. He really
Yeah.
is like a dreamer and knows what he wants.
So we haven't talked about this, but Tarquin wants to. We get a little bit of like society stuff in this section of chapters where like obviously it's been there the whole time. You have lesser fae and high fae. And like even the name of it in itself suggests inequality there. Yeah, like it's really bad.
Yeah.
There's a power structure there. And Tarquin wants to get rid of that and kind of have fae just be fae, and he doesn't know that Valaris is like that.
He has no clue.
He has no idea.
No, well, because no other court is modeled that way outside of there.
Yeah, like not even the Night Court. It's only the city of Starlight, which is the secret to the world. And so, like, he wants to have a fair society where everyone is equal and there's no discrimination and there's none of that. And everyone, including his own cousins, laugh at the idea.
Yeah, well, because it seems so preposterous, especially coming from, like, so there, I think that, I don't know if we talk about it, but I do think the, like, non-celestial courts are a lot more traditional. So, like, the spring court, fall court, summer.
Yeah, probably.
And
that would make
what is
sense.
it, winter?
Winter, yeah.
I feel like, well, we don't know as much about winter at this point. They might be a little bit looser. But in general, they seem a lot more, like, traditional. They're more about control. They have, like, their court stays summer.
Yes.
Like, it does not change. It's not an
does not.
ever-changing thing. They're about tradition and not moving and not changing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that would be, like, going into a society where that was a lot of it, which people do, trying to change it is hard.
Yeah, change is hard. Got that. 9 minutes.
Oh,
We'll be
okay.
fine.
We were
We'll be
under a
good.
time crunch. We're gonna get there. It's fine. We're almost there.
I also want to talk about just, again, I know that we know that Feyre and Rhysand have, like, a thing, but it's really nice to see her interact with another High Lord who, I mean, he's so sweet. He's in a really, like, precarious situation right now. They have this thing where it's like, well, Feyre is Tamlin's bride, and she's now with the Night Court, and if Tamlin so chooses to start a war over her, he could. He literally can.
Regardless of whether she broke up with him or not.
Right. And Tarquin is like, that's Cressida, which Cressida reminds me of Cressida
From
Bridgerton.
Yes.
Like, that's who I picture, honestly.
But like nicer.
Yeah.
Cressida.
No, definitely nicer. But she has a little bit of, like, that snark.
Yeah, which I like. Yeah, if Cressida was more likable. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, no, and then we have Tarquin, and like Feyre says, it could be really easy to fall in love with someone like you. And like, yes, Feyre, all of us have already fallen in love with Tarquin. We love him.
I probably would have fallen
if it wasn't for
even with Rhys. I think I would.
No, Helion. We haven't met yet.
Love Helion.
That man. Oh, that's third book matter.
I honestly would have a hard time, which there's also a scene with them, we can get back to that. I would have a hard time choosing between the two of them.
Yeah.
We can get back to another reason why that would be complicated, because the other love of my life,
Yeah,
that would also complicate that. But it's fine.
Colleen's a little messy, but it's okay.
I
specifically when it comes to book loves. I'm sorry. I do not mean in your life.
No, you're not wrong. It's accurate. Actually, not really. I wish my life was
You
messy.
are not messy at all.
My life is very simple.
Colleen is very, like, well thought out in everything that she does.
I'm not for the most part.
I bring the mess. I'm a little messy.
Well, so like
I also have been in a committed relationship for so long since she's only ever known me.
Yeah.
When I was single, I was a mess.
That's fair. I also will say that we're also now either in our 30s or almost 30s, so like we should be more put together.
We should be.
Yes. So it's fine. I'm gonna find my husband in Europe when I go. No concern. I'm going to Europe soon. That's the plan. Anyhow. Or a book boyfriend. We can just keep up with those. They keep me happy in.
I mean, book boyfriends are great.
And I do love Tarquin. I would have a very hard time between. I know we haven't met Helion yet, but like when you meet him, it makes sense. Tarquin's a very sweet and like very generous person, and like idealistic in a way that is practical. And to me, that's very attractive.
Yes.
Like he has passion and he has drive, like but in a way that is towards equality and social things that are good and like there's a more attractive quality. I can't find it, truly.
Yeah, no,
I
he's
love it.
great.
He is incredible. I remember, this is a little bit for me, like, I do love Rhys, but, like, similar to, like, Lucian's right there,
Yeah,
a little bit in
Tarquin's
this
right
section,
there.
I'm like, Tarquin's right there. Like, I love Rhys deeply.
Honestly, this was the only time
Tarquin's
that I
right
was
there.
like, Tarquin is. I was like, okay, like I can see where this is going with the story, but Tarquin is great.
He's so suave.
Yes.
They go through the vaults in this section.
They go
right?
through the vaults. He gifts Feyre this like gorgeous black diamond necklace and earring set.
One of my love languages is gift giving, both giving and receiving.
Uh-huh.
If a man gave me that nice of a necklace and just toured all of his vaults, I had like gorgeous books
Yeah.
and wealth and
all of the things. He's very like his relationship with Feyre is like immediately very easy.
easy,
You know?
flirtatious,
Yeah.
fun.
Really fun.
But also, like, is willing to tell her, like, the harder. He understands
Yeah.
that she's the one. Interestingly, I think he realizes immediately that, because he's, like, talking about wanting an alliance
Yeah.
with Rhys. He realizes very immediately that if he's going to do that, he has to do it
with Feyre.
with Feyre. Because
Yeah.
that's going to be the better choice.
He has great social skills. All right. We were saying that we were on a time crunch, and our time crunch has arrived. Again, Steampunk Brewworks, if you like craft beer,
Please come.
please come. They're an incredible establishment.
They are good establishment.
Very, very comfortable environment. If you're a girl, single, and don't want to go to a bar by yourself because there's creeps, this is a good bar to come to.
It's a very chill one.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. I'm
Yeah.
very safe here.
There, not only are there men and women who will look out for you if someone's creeping on you,
Mhm.
generally speaking, the regulars here, very friendly.
Incredibly fun. We
Yeah.
could, like, be hanging out with them. So.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
So, all right, we will catch you later.
I feel like we did a pretty decent deep dive anyway. We were just rambling most
we
of the
were
time.
40 minutes, so
We're fine.
bye everyone.